great way to start the recording. Anyone else want to hack anything up before we get started?
No, I've got my finger poised on the mute button just in case.
Chris, any lung parts to get rid of?
No, but my nose is desperately trying to close since I just walked upstairs.
Was there a smell up there, or?
No. I mean, it's just what the shift in altitude has provoked.
Yeah, that extra 12 foot is really, really upsetting. I just envisioned you living in like a 6-story house, and because you always talk about going upstairs, and I expect you sort of going all the way up to the attic room, and it's like an American horror film, and it's like all wooden slatted and with a circular window at the top.
Well, I am in the attic, but
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Not 6 stories up then.
No.
It's-
No.
I kind of envisage it like Beetlejuice, basically. That's where you live.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah. Anyway.
Transmission is go. Underbase is live.
Hello and welcome to the Underbase, the first Underbase of 2015, and we are here for possibly the latest comic we've ever reviewed. R.I.D. No, it's not R.I.D., is it?
No, it's not. You're doing well there.
Ball ache. What a great start to the year. More Than Meets the Eye, number 36. Seriously, just start the year. Go, no, I'm going to be on the ball this year. No chance.
Broken.
Yeah, already screwed up the whole year. Ruined forever.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, we may as well just sack it off and come back in 2016 then.
See you
Right, joined as ever by Chris McFeely, as you'll have heard him numerous times.
Hello.
And by the newest member of the team, he's still here after 3 months, Adam.
Happy New Year.
And to you, sir, and to you, and to everybody who's listening as well. A very happy New Year to you. We all sound like it's been a really happy New Year so far.
It's wonderful.
Same crap, different
I've already
dates.
written off 2016 as well. I'm waiting for 2017, I've decided.
Won't you be like 40 in 2017?
I'm not that old. God. Just insulted now.
Yeah.
Insult.
Not that far off, though.
Well, yeah, close enough that it will be the bracket on those online surveys you have to fill in.
Yeah. Well, it's officially when you slide into your late 30s, that's when it really starts to suck.
Yeah, well, I just give up then.
Yeah, just kill yourself. So, More Than Meets the Eye 36. We're off to a real interesting start. Dear me. And before we start, we have a selection of covers. Shock horror. The opening cover features Roller supping some juice and a load of screens being out. Art by Alex Milne, coloured by Josh Perez. The subcover, Nick Roach and Josh Burcham on duties, features Mike Costa, Emo Prime. Sitting in the dark, feeling sorry for himself. The 30th anniversary cover, artwork by Alex Milne, coloured by Josh Perez, is part of the 3-issue joined together wraparoundy thing. Which on this one features Rodimus, G2, Megatron, Knockout, Lio Convoy, among many others, and looks quite stunning, it has to be said. The retailer exclusives this time round, we have sakanime.com.
Sack anime, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Artwork by Tony Fleeks. Features many different primes, arm wrestling and looking moody, if that's your thing, and various other retailer exclusives, which are basically either blanks or without titles, and all the gumph on there. Adam, which one did you? Well, you probably got the first one, but which one would you have got if you had the choice?
Yeah, I own the regular cover by default. Do you know what? I'm not actually that bothered by any of them, if I'm honest. they're not bad covers, but none of them stand out. And I wouldn't, a good judge for me is, would I want a poster of any of these? Some of them I can live without them, but I'm feeling nostalgic, so I'm going to go with the 30th anniversary cover because it's got G2 Megs on it, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's got Blackout on there, and you've got a bit
of... I didn't see Blackout.
Blackout's under Knockout's armpit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That gets my vote then. Blackout and G2 Megs. Done.
Job done. Chris?
Well, I've got the regular one as well. I picked that one over the subscription one anyway, but it must be said that the 30th anniversary cover is something special.
Yeah, when it's all joined together, it is very impressive. And that is one that I would like to see as a full print without the titles and stuff, because you do lose a lot of the Ds. Well, you can't even really see Devastator at the back.
Yeah, I mean, this. I think Alex said I don't think this was originally designed to be a cover.
Right.
I think this was designed for something else a while ago, and it never got finished. And he said that he repurposed it for these covers, and you can see that. This is like on the other cover as well. It's like Soundwave and Grimlock and Lockdown are completely covered by the logos as well.
Yeah.
It's not laid out like a cover would be laid out.
Yeah.
Empty space for the logo to go in. So I think we'll probably see that one. I'm sure Alex will offer it as a print for conventions or something like that.
And it is. I mean, it'd be nice if IDW actually offered all of these 3-parters somehow. I mean, you can't really offer that in a book, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not with... You'd have to have fold-outs or something.
Yeah, gatefolds, which always look terrible, because one crease on there's always really, really harsh. And scuffed, normally. Anyway, I would go with the 30th anniversary as well, because I just think it's a big, bright, colourful, really nice-looking image. While it goes against my normal, it's got to have something to do with the inside of the comic, it's just a nice picture. So, that'll do for me. And the story so far. Aboard a duplicate lost light created by accident involving quantum engines, the Autobots learn that the deceased duplicate Brainstorm was a Decepticon double agent, and they open his briefcase, which causes events to happen out of sequence. When the ship disappears, 2 things are inexplicably left behind. The Archivist Rewind and the briefcase. Megatron and the others return to the original Lost Light to learn their Brainstorm, also a double agent, used his briefcase to travel back in time. Realising he intends to help the Decepticons win the war by killing Orion Pax before he becomes Optimus Prime, Rodimus leads the crew into action. And we opened Cybertron 4 million years ago. The band of outlaws, Roller, Orion Pax, Damus, Skids, and Windcharge are the Outliers, all from... what was the title of the...
Oh, Shadowplay.
It was Shadowplay, wasn't it? When they had the bomb inside a corpse.
Yes.
And they had to stop that. Yes.
Choose 9 to 11.
Yeah. They are taking apart the Elite Guard, who have obviously been sent to pick them up. At which point, Roller transforms and starts to feel a bit weird, and his trailer pops open, and the Lost Light crew just appear in a cloud of purple smoke. And we have our title of Elegant Chaos Part 1, All Our Parlous Yesterdays.
The hipsteriest title yet in More Than Meets the Eye.
I kind of... Oh, no, I've got visions of James in like skin-tight jeans and with a beard.
Calm down.
Just... There's fan fiction for you.
More Than Meets the Eye has always had a tendency towards vaguely alterna rock hipstery titles, although they're usually actually lifted from song albums like Under Cold Blue Stars and things like that. Or I'm trying to think of another example, but it will Remain in Light, titles like that. But I think All Our Parlous Yesterdays, when it goes out of its way to use a word like parlous, which I confess I've learned a new word, but there's just something. I think it almost verges on self-parody. It's so hipsterish.
Are you trying to skirt around the word pompous by any chance?
Oh no! Well, I don't think I am. It wasn't. had occurred to me before.
All right. No, it's. I imagine it is a lyric probably lifted from a Morrissey album.
I don't think it is. I've tried to figure out if it is, but it's not. It doesn't seem to be.
Oh.
It sounds like something. If you know what I mean, it's like it sounds like something. It sounds like a title that's trying to sound like a lyric lifted out of a Morrissey album. If you know what I mean, rather than an actual Morrissey lyric, if that makes any sense.
In fairness, if this gig ever dries up for James, Morrissey is currently without a record label, so he could find himself a bit of work together.
Yeah, you could write song titles for it.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much money he's in writing song titles.
I don't know how much money Morrissey has left.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll write something miserable and everyone will buy it.
Anyway, not to dwell on it.
No, never dwell on Morrissey.
Yeah, just the first thought I had when I was reading the preview of the issue back when.
Yeah, that's going back 6 weeks. Right, so, Adam, how glad are you to see these boys again?
No, it's good fun. I mean, we knew it was coming, and it's. I was probably more happy with the character choice, to be honest with you. It's a good little squad.
Oh, who's gone on the mission?
Yeah, who's on the journey?
I know what you mean, because it's nice to see all these season 1 characters again. But
yeah, absolutely.
It seems kind of like here's a point. First of all, the comic doesn't address it, and we must assume it is deliberately in that it's unaddressed. But Brainstorm's briefcase was established in the previous issue to be coded to work with his spark type.
Yes.
Now, we don't know what Brainstorm's spark type is, and we also don't know what Rung and Rodimus's spark types are here. But we do know that Riptide, Whirl, Rewind, and Chrome Dome all have vitreous positive sparks, but Cyclonus and Tailgate have ferrum negative sparks, which means there are people of at least 2 spark types here, and that's presumably going to be a plot point. But right now, it sort of feels like a contrivance in order to get just like the more than meets the eye A team all on the ship together, like 200 dudes. And isn't it amazing that the only ones with the compatible spark types are the A-list dudes?
In all fairness, if it was the old cartoon, Rodimus would only take his buddies on missions anyway. So
yeah, but this
it's a nice homage to that anyway. It's like, Magnus, Springer, yeah, we're all off on an adventure. The rest of you stay behind.
Well, yeah, but that is the 80s cartoon.
Ignore the science. Ignore the science and the sparks. Just take your buddies with you.
As I said, I'm sure it is a plot point in some way or another. I wonder if it has something to do with the 0.1% spark that he's toting around.
It could well be, yeah. I'm sure you're right. There'll be more to it.
Where the heck did you pull all that from, Chris?
What?
All the spark differences.
Well, I went and looked it up, and I remember it now. So,
yet again, you impress me in your weird little attic. The Lost Light 4 million years ago.
Later.
Yes, later.
But it is before the previous scenes.
Oh, my brain hurts.
Basil, I've gone cross-eyed.
Oh, it's going to be a long year.
And that goes for you as well.
So, we get a bit of plot catch-up in the opening couple of panels. And we get the timelines overlying each other until the new one supersedes the current one. Rewind and Chrome Dome mention the database being overwritten.
Just for the audience members who haven't tweaked yet. Actually, no, it's not for the audience members who haven't tweaked it. It's just intelligent setting up of a plot point that's going to come up later.
And then we have a little bit furthering. Perceptor points out that he's made Brainstorm's made 2 time jumps. First one to Messitint, which was where we left the mine, which was abandoned where Megatron was in there. And then he left almost immediately.
He thinks it's a calibration exercise, but I don't.
Perceptor is then, bang on with somewhere on Cybertron.
Helpful.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Really good. And Rodimus then says, okay, where's Pax? Let's go. And Rewind fills in the gaps of exactly where they are. So Pax or Prime was always vague about that point as well. He was in the Alon region for most of the first cycle. The last few sub-cycles, he was on the run from Sentinel, who wants him dead for presenting the destruction of the Primal Basilica.
Which helps us place this between the end of Shadow Play, not long after the end of Shadow Play, and before Megatron Origins, which would again take place not too much longer after this.
On the advice of his newest mentor, Zeta of Systex, later Zeta Prime, he's gathered up some of Senator Shockwave's outliers and fled underground. So where does this put Autocracy?
Autocracy would still be some time after this.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to remember when Zeta becomes... So
We've never seen Zeta become Prime. That's the story that's not been told yet, but we see Sentinel die in Megatron Origins.
Yeah, and then in Autocracy... No, is it in Spotlight Jazz? No, Blur.
Yes, but he's leading already by that stage.
Yeah, but that must obviously be before Autocracy.
Yes, it is, but it's after Spotlight Orion Pax.
Oh, whatever happened to writing a comic in order?
Well, that's
just building retcon on retcon.
No, but again, it would be some time before. Before Autocracy, because that's when Zeta has completely descended into, megalomania.
So Rodimus wants to go to Allion. Percept says he's going to send him to the biggest concentration of life signs because it's fairly deserted, and that way you'll find him hilariously turning up in the back of Roller's trailer, which actually folds out, as we find out in the next page, much like Prime's trailer. And then Rodimus tells everyone to tool up in Brainstorm's armory. And I fell in love with Whirl.
All over again.
Yeah.
This is a particularly great scene.
It's the anime eye on Rodimus in the third panel.
Yeah, just as Whirl puts the finger to his lips. Let's keep it ambiguous.
And Whirl has found something that will be a plot device at some point.
Oh, hell yeah, you know it.
That looks incredibly scary. Okay, golden rules of time jumping. Don't say where we're from, don't tell anyone about the future, don't interfere with established events, and for God's sake, don't kill anyone.
Unless it turns out you were supposed to do it, in which case, for God's sake, don't not do it. Good news, everyone.
We also get introduced to the time phone, which is cool. And Rung taking his glasses off again. It's becoming more of a thing. I don't know if it's a reminder or...
I don't know. Just seems like one of those things is they've introduced he can do it now, so now he does it.
Yeah. All the way through this scene, Chrome Dome has been fiddling with his hand. We should point out. All the way through this scene. And when Rung says, okay, what happens if we accidentally disclose details? Chrome Dome's got it covered.
And I mean, I didn't at first. I didn't think anything. I mean, I just figured the fact he was diddling with his hands. I was like, oh, he's getting tooled up for that. And I was surprised at first because we all know what's been going on there. We all know that he seems to have tried to swear off that, but it worked out. Slightly convenient, maybe the idea, but we'll get to that.
So, okay, where are we? Who's buying a world toy on the strength of this scene?
I have Whirl already.
If only you could get him into that pose.
I was seriously thinking about buying a world the other day.
Just because of this, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I did pick up the little Swerve as well, the Swerve 2-pack with his little buddy. And I was like, then I kind of want a Whirl.
But it won't be this Whirl, that's the problem.
I've got an imagination, it'll work.
I just love him. You kind of forget with just all the little one-liners that have gone on, and he hasn't really been in it for a year, sort of, other than just being a bit backgroundy.
I'd kind of forgotten about that, but he wasn't really. He was little more than a backgrounder in Dark Cybertron, and
He had some great lines.
Oh yeah, they were there. Wait, I'll tell you how I started our and he wasn't really in the first 6 at all, was he?
And just comes back with a bang, and once again, Alex Azart does an amazing job of giving character and expression to a Cyclops with claws for hands.
But then when you think about it, I suppose World's kind of done.
Yes.
Not done, but the whole thing that's driven the character through the first season of More Than Meets the Eye was wrapped up, and like I really had, to be fair, I hadn't really noticed how much of a backseat he'd taken, but I think that's because
what else is there to do with him? Because other than the confrontation he had with Megatron in one of those first issues of the second season,
yeah, that's the only big thing he's done in the last year, literally. Yeah, I mean, okay, so that's still waiting to be paid off. Actually, I'd forgotten about that because it's been like 6 months. But yeah, that's still waiting. But that's less of a whirl thing and more of a someone else is behind that we don't actually know about yet. But yeah, I mean, that's why I didn't predict that Whirl would make it through Remain in Light, if you can remember back that far.
Yeah.
I figured Whirl would be the one to buy it.
Yeah, especially when they pushed him in, or when you thought Cyclonus had pushed him into the molten pit.
Yeah. And I flipped the page and I was like, what? Come on.
Yeah, moderately disappointed he's still alive, but then we wouldn't have had this.
Yes, and I mean, now that, with Megatron on the ship, there is ground to mine. They just haven't gone there yet.
So we land we're back 4 million years ago, in Roller's trailer. Roller, who can't transform because everyone's standing on him. Yeah. And we have the moment of the Outliers and Orion Pax meeting the Lost Light crew, and all the problems that comes with. For example, Tumblr now being called Chrome Dome, and Whirl still being in prison. Yeah, always good. Always good. Instant problems with time travel. So we find out in this scene that Zeta's still a good guy. Pax has contacted him for reinforcements. That's who they think these guys are. And they're on the way to the dugout, which is, well, it looks like Jabba's sail barge has fallen down on the sand. And we find out that they're camped out outside a hotspot, which, as is explained, is a place where Primus touches the surface of Cybertron from inside, and as such brings life with it. And we have a lovely CGI or a lovely pop-up image of literally Primus's hand pressing onto the surface of Cybertron.
Or so those functionists would have you believe.
Yes.
I mean, we were introduced to hotspots back in Remain in Light again when we found out where babies come from. But the idea, I think, is like it just happens to have taken the form of something vaguely resembling a hand, and the religiously minded among Cybertron would take that as proof of Primus.
So,
but again, we get that little look at Skids here again as well, because Skids is the one who describes it as the hand of Primus pressing the planet into shape, and we know that the young Skids was religious from back in Shadow Play as well, because he's got that little Matrix tattoo on his cheek as well, and that question still hangs around Skids as well. What happened to him? Why did he change as much as he did? It's not there were more memories missing than just his time with Special Ops. There are more questions around Skids that just haven't been looked closely at.
And that's something they can play out over season upon season upon season. Yeah. You can always just add an extra layer to him. So we find out that the Senate is keeping the hotspot a secret because the Functionist Council is becoming less influential. And then it's hardline functionalists versus the Senate, basically.
Well, the Senate thinks that if the Functionists find out about it, they can use it as proof of Primus to reassert their position in their philosophy, and the Senate would rather not.
So we find out that the Pax and the Outliers are there to protect the Sparks, and Tailgate enters fan mode.
I love that. It's great.
And there is a monitoring station, or they believe it's a monitoring station, in the sky above them, at which point Trailbreaker enters the scene. He's barely been dead 2 issues. But old school Trailbreaker, 4 million years ago Trailbreaker, has entered the scene. And that gives Rodimus a bit of a shock. And Rodimus then pretty much instantly breaks his own rule and takes Trailbreaker to the side to have a quiet word.
If anybody was going to break the rule,
it was Rodimus, yeah. While this is going on, Rung is taking a sip out of Roller's drink.
Everybody's just socializing.
Yes. There is a much relaxing going on. And his eyes flare, and basically Roller's putting heroin in his drink, effectively. So, yeah, explained. It's dangerous. I know all circuit speeders are dangerous, but I wouldn't be surprised if one day they link C32 to instant spark failure.
That's it's like it's not touched on again, but like I wonder if that's Rung saying they're going to link this to instant spark failure. I am from the future. I know that is a fact that will happen. I think it probably is.
Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it factors in a little to something later on that we'll talk about when we get to the big talking point.
Yes. And Roller is basically doing it to keep him sharp, to keep him up to speed with everyone else. And he says, we're not all born special. Rung pointing out you're a 0.1%. You were born special. I was born strong, and these days that only gets you so far. I can't make force fields or stop things working or magnetize the enemy. Pax keeps you around because we're friends. And Rung's being the psychologist, and that's a bad reason because... And we have a very sad-looking Roller who's just sort of realizing things about himself.
It's full of robot steroids.
Just roided out of his mind. At which point, the time phone rings, and Pax picks it up.
Rodimus has dropped it because he snuck off to talk to Trailbreaker.
Yeah. And who's on the other end of the line but Megatron? And we have a lovely scene of the two of them talking on the phone 4 million years apart. Yeah, it's Pax looking forward and still speaking to his friend, and almost Megatron reminiscing and enjoying having a friend again. There's something rather lovely about it.
Lovely and sad at the same time.
Yeah. Well, we have the panel of Megatron touching his own face. Sort of, I think what will define me is behind me. Tempting though, isn't it, to do it all again and do it differently, properly.
I think really the defining moment of this scene is when he, just before he goes, he asks Pax why, like, with the benefit of hindsight that Megatron has, he knows that Pax knows the Senate's broken. Why not tear it down, all of it, and Pax says he believes that, what is it he says, reform is the answer, not revolution, course correct, not sink the ship. And Megatron just goes and asks to be passed over. And it's just this wonderful thing that, as much as More Than Meets the Eye has tended in the last issue or two, and I pointed it out, that it's teetered towards absolution for Megatron, sometimes painting him as a product of his circumstances. This is a great moment where it's just like, for everything that's happened, for all the terrible things that have happened, and for as sympathetic as the character is being written, he still believes everything he did was right.
Yeah.
Still believes what he did was the right way of doing it. And that's a great moment.
Yeah, and then we have the twee moment at the end.
It's not funny at all.
Well, then Will you join us? I think so, eventually. And he's smiling. Oh.
But then that's another move that does also sell the genuineness of his switch as well.
Yeah. I mean, Adam, we've discussed off the podcast repeatedly about how the selling of Megatron as an Autobot, and you've not bought it.
No.
Does this conversation help any, or?
Yeah, I guess so, but you're still waiting for the, like, I think I've said it before, the old Spaceballs fooled you moment. Yes is the answer as far as this issue goes. It's a lovely scene. I like the fact that you've got, the time phone allowing the, 4 million years apart, for these guys to talk, and it's a nice moment. It still doesn't make me believe that Megatron's not going to suddenly go evil, down the road.
Yeah.
It's a hard position to be in because eventually, years from now, after writers and editors have come and gone, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But we just have to take it month by month and see how it goes,
And as far as that goes, if you take that approach to it, it's a great little scene between Orion Pax and Megatron. And, if Megatron wasn't an Autobot on the Lost Light, then you'd struggle to have this scene in the same way. So,
yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, and it feels like the only head-to-head we're going to get in this part of the Shadow Play, or the Shadow Trilogy, or whatever it's being called. Because obviously this harkens back to Chaos Theory and
Shadow Play.
And Shadow Play, when we've had those conversations, the talking head conversations between the two of them, that James has always done so well. Yeah, lovely scene. Lovely scene, breaking up what is quite a cliched time travel issue, really. Rodimus is telling Trailbreaker if he goes to a place called Ofsted at 17, don't leave the ship, don't go outside, don't engage anybody, and don't donate fuel to anyone. Completely breaking his own rules, but hey, it's Rodimus. And we have the little moment where he finally says what he wants to say. You're a good person. Pax hands the time phone over to Rodimus, and as he's walking away, Roller says, "Who was that?" Megatron, the miner from Tarn, remarkable individual. The activist, you're being deceived and all that. Yeah, you should read him. It's powerful stuff. At which point, the penny dropped for me.
Hadn't gone for me yet.
No?
No. I think it took him actually. Well, I think it took what happens to him happening later.
Yeah, it was the stance he's in, the shape of his body, on top of what happened with the Energon boosters that he's on and everything. It was that moment I went, got it.
Yeah, I won't pretend I'm super smart or anything, but somebody said to me quite some time ago that they suspected Roller was Tarn, and I thought that was quite a good idea at the time. And when I got to this point in this issue as well, I kind of got sold on it too.
See, but that's been a very long-standing theory altogether. Yeah. I'm saying my position is this issue is so completely drowning in the suggestion that it's the case that I think I'm double bluffed.
You think?
Oh, it's like, look, right. There have been literally zero reasons to think Tarn is Roller before now. Like, literally none.
It's just the visual cues for me, like, the head, the forearms. They're, not character cues, not that there's a reason, like you say, for him as yet, but there's the visual thing is the only thing.
Aside from the fact that Tarn is a pseudonym, Tarn is someone else under his mask, and the fact that Roller is a character who is noticeably MIA in the present day with his fate unrevealed, that's it. Like you say, beyond the sort of shape and size of the guys, there are no like connections or story reasons of any kind to ever have suspected it beyond the random theorizing that has gone on for all of the Meets the Eyes run about who Tarn is. Tarn is also Dominus Ambus, Tarn is this, Tarn is that, Tarn is the other. Drives me mad. But this issue is so choked with the suggestion that Tarn is Roller. I mean, we'll get to the end of the issue and we'll run back down the checklist because it's as long as my arm. It really feels like it really is.
Yeah.
That it feels like it's kind of winking. You know, where I feel like it could be deliberately misleading because it's the first time we've seen Roller since everybody started thinking Roller was Tarn, and it just seems like potentially misdirection. It's like if you were gonna play it out, you might not dump all your hints in literally one place.
Well, the other thing to bear in mind with, we know James Roberts is James Roberts and time travel is involved. What if Tarn was Roller, but he's not Roller anymore because time's been changed?
Well, okay, we'll get to that at the end of the issue as well.
We better get there fairly quick.
Is unfolding here, there are a lot of time travel fiction rules happening here.
It's either Terminator rules or Back to the Future rules or Futurama rules.
Well, I don't know what are Terminator rules now because they've changed, haven't they?
Yeah, Terminator rules changed now, but unless they swerve us.
Back to the Future doesn't really have rules either.
No.
He changes the future in the first movie, but then in the third movie, it was all supposed to happen. So.
Yeah, but he also basically kills his entire family in the first movie to replace them with what he views as better versions of themselves.
Well, he doesn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, he does.
He does it on purpose. It just happens as a consequence of him trying to put the timeline back the way it was. But it winds up changed, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But then when he goes back in time and takes actions in the third movie, the actions are all part of history already, except for the bits that aren't. The picks and chooses is Back to the Future.
Should we get towards it then?
That's other time travel rules. Yes. Moving on.
Yes. So the conversation carries on between Rodimus and Megatron. The quantum engines have overheated, so there's various problems there. And there is radiation. Background radiation. Fezil radiation. Or Fezil radiation.
Which is not a word. I went and looked this up. So we'll see what that means later, I guess.
And they're saying it's coming from the Sky platform, and they're trying to sterilize the hotspot. That's what they think's going on.
You see, I figured the platform was Brainstorm's work at first. But clearly not.
No. We then have a very sick conversation between Riptide, Cyclonus, and Tailgate. Must be easier, quicker ways, like drop a bomb. If you're going to kill newborns, you'll want to do it discreetly.
That's an awful thing to say.
Lovely.
I'm not endorsing it.
It's still awful.
I swear he's getting smaller.
Who?
Tailgate.
He does look a little small there, doesn't he? Maybe like Cyclonus's knee height or something. Yeah.
And Rewind saying, well, how about if this is an experiment, not mass murder? Ever since Nova Prime, the Senate has embraced cold construction as a means of growing the population, especially the military. But you can't build a Cybertronian with abilities like yours, Glitch, or yours, Trailbreaker. You can't build an outlier. And it'd be the Senate's opportunity to experiment on naturally occurring sparks as they approach maturation. And learn how they could make outliers.
They're irradiating the sparks to artificially generate outliers. Or not outliers, rather, but...
yeah.
Well, the aberrant sparks, anyway.
And basically, Rewind is speculating, but Chrome Dome points out that actually, no, this is all from, you're not speculating, you're quoting history from your database, so it's new history. So this is what actually happened.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying when I was saying that little mention of his changing database was setting this up for anybody who's not read the previous issues.
The basic gist is what happens is the functionalists, the Senate of, is it the functionalists?
It is the Senate doing it.
The Senate are irradiating the sparks. To try and it's something that does happen in the new timeline.
Yeah, Rewind knows about it from his database because the functionists would, I guess, declassify information of that, which seems like a not very functionist thing to do.
But it's Spark experiments stretching back millions of years. Now, it's at this point that the timeline changes. So, what Rewind is actually saying is there have been Spark experiments going on for millions of years.
Yeah, what he means is like that. The reason he's able to get it from his altered database is because the functionists uncovered the information and obviously declassified it or something or other. I mean, he's a data stick bot, so maybe Dumas Ambus had accessors. But it's like it did happen in his past. It's just it's only in his database because the functionists declassified or released the information.
Yeah, but that still means that within our known timeline, there has been Spark manipulation.
Yes.
Which is a reveal that's really under the radar in this issue.
Yeah, I never really thought about it before. Yeah, I mean, I knew what I was saying just there now, but yeah, you're right. It is kind of, low key as a reveal goes.
I mean, that's something that will come back. Guarantee you that. Right, so the Outliers go outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
They go outside and deal with it. Trailbreaker throws up a force field. All hell breaks loose, basically. The ship unloads. Cyclonus and Whirl go and do their thing.
Look, Transformers transforming. Look.
At which point Roller grabs an incubator, which is actually a teleporter, and it sends a spark to a safe house where it can be nurtured. And Roller runs out of the force field and starts teleporting sparks. While this is all going on, Percy's given Rodimus a call and said Brainstorm's time jumped further into the past, and they can't go at this point. He tells Brainstorm to queue something up to wipe some memories.
Chrome Dome.
Same thing.
Incorrect.
And he orders Chrome Dome to not shake Trailbreaker's hand.
Yeah, so Chrome Dome has rewired his needles to wipe memories without injecting.
Yes.
But like through a handshake, it'll erase a couple of hours worth of memories.
At which point, Roller gets blown to be shot in some form.
He takes a hit, yes.
How he has, but he gets shot in the face and in the chest.
Yes.
We don't know how it's happened, if it's an explosion, if it's a spark going off. It's hard to tell.
That's presumably one of the many blasts.
Yes, that are flying around the place at the moment. And at which point we get a fastball special from Windcharger, Trailbreaker, and Orion Pax.
That's got to be a specific, deliberate reference. I mean, the Outliers were already the X-Men anyway. They were, a gang of mutants hated and feared by the world in general, hidden and trained secretly at a school by a benevolent member of high society. So there's no question they were an X-Men reference. So the fact that we get a fastball special here is, yeah. And it's just another one of those moments of badass heroism from young Optimus Prime that we just don't get from the modern article.
Including, and if we really want to push that reference, he's got the claws.
Well, kinda, but we already had that back in Shadowplay whenever Optimus Prime tried to figure out which one of the Outliers was which, and he said, talking about Glitch, you said, is he the one with the claws? Who actually, and just as a matter of notice, Glitch doesn't have his claws anymore. He has had his hands put back or replaced with normal hands again in this issue.
At which point, magnetized, force field covered Orion Pax basically punches a hole straight through the space state or the platform, blowing up, which gets a reaction from Tailgate of, "This is the greatest thing I have ever seen."
Yep.
It's brilliant.
It's so lost at the bottom of the page, but just because of that, it's so well done. I love it. And to tie the issue up nicely, to make sure nothing's happened, afterwards, they haven't found Roller. They've taken the Sparks to a secret clinic at Nyon, and Chrome Dome is shaking everyone's hands. Just as they're about to teleport out, he gives the instruction to Percy. Trailbreaker runs up and shakes Chrome Dome's hand as well.
Don't.
And everyone's going, what's going on? And Trailbreaker's found a drink. And that's how the issue ends. So elephant in the room time. Adam, Roller, Tarn.
Yeah, I think so. For me,
you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's Tarn. The design of his helmet looks the same as Tarn's, like the earpieces, the forearms without the added bulk added to them remind me heavily of Tarn's. Looking at pictures, I'm pretty convinced. Shot in the eye. We've still got the old Agent 113 thing to resolve. Is it 113?
Yeah, well, that's another aspect to it.
And that's the other thing going through my head is, he doesn't
You're going to have to put something special off to convince me of that 113 thing.
Well, it's just all it says to me is it's a possibility that if Roller is Tarn, he doesn't necessarily have to be evil. He could be some sort of a double agent or something,
But I mean, it's just the fact that there's supposed to be this double agent in the DJD. But those guys, there are only 5 of them, and they're wanton monsters who have blatantly, on panel, individually been responsible for the gruesome, gleeful murder of multiple individuals. And you're supposed to tell me one of them is an undercover.
Well, yeah, but mainly Decepticons. Yeah, but they're mainly Decepticons that they kill. I know there's others, but, they exist to kill Decepticons.
Oh, yes, but the biggest number of kills that we've seen them make on panel is the alternate Lost Light.
Well, yeah.
Well, exactly, but then that makes me think there's more to that one than...
That's what I mean. They're going to have to play something off to make me convince me that thing is a thing.
Yeah.
Is definitely. Agent 113 in the DJD?
Yes.
Yes. Because he was sending messages to who was picking them up? Not Fix-It, First Aid.
It was the one that found it.
Because they had the left eye of Autobot badges shot out, wasn't it? Which is like Tarn with the damaged eye.
Which is like...
No, I never did think of that one.
Which is like Roller getting shot in his left eye.
Yeah.
Now, that's the other aspect of it, is Roller... I mean, assuming Roller's Tarn.
Yeah.
Which, going off this comic, that's what we are led to believe.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Yes.
We then have to know, is Tarn or Roller a double agent, or is he a psycho? Is there something that made him go completely psychotic?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Because at the end of this issue, obviously, they probably aren't going to remember that Roller was there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's. I mean, let's go down the checklist.
Okay.
First of all, right, he's MIA. Nobody knows what happened to him. That's where he is at the end of the issue.
Yeah.
We know that he has an addictive personality.
Yes.
And he's addicted. Tarn is addicted to transforming. We know that Roller has feelings of inadequacies and uses things to upgrade himself. We know that Tarn has a preposterously over-upgraded form who runs around with a double fusion cannon, which is just like a dick enhancement, basically. That's all that is. We see Optimus encouraging him to read Megatron's works. We know Tarn is intimately familiar with Megatron's works. Even the "You Are Being Deceived" slogan, Tarn whispers that when he finds the coffin, the coffin with Grimlock in it, back when he appeared first time around. He gets hit in the eye, obviously, and if Tarn has under his mask, it's only visible in like 1 or 2 places in the amount of time Tarn has appeared.
It's mainly on that issue cover, isn't it, with the close up of Tarn?
But it is in the issues too. You can see it in a few close-ups in the issues, and he does have visible damage around his left eye. Although the mask looks damaged as well, so it's hard to say, And he's like, obviously, at the end of this, he is sort of from his point of view, he has been abandoned by his friends and comrades, which is a great reason to wind up on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's just like so absolutely lousy with blatant suggestion that well, you know what my mantra is when it comes to More Than Meets the Eye, which is I never believe what this comic wants me to believe. If this comic is ever going out of its way to imply something without ever stating it, because the way this book tends to work is that it does tend to, in dialogue, affirm things like that, where it has rewind and Chrome Dome stop and say your database has been changed by the altered timeline. That's what the deal with that was. Or a very good example was the issue on the alternate Lost Light, wherever the action was not paused but suspended briefly, so that everyone could say, "Well, that's why he did that, and that's what the explanation for that was." And that's this. More Than Meets the Eye is a book that will stop to explain points like that. So anytime More Than Meets the Eye wants to blatantly imply something to me, like More Than Meets the Eye is full of subtle implication, but whenever it takes a spanner and clobbers me around the head with the implication, I am always given pause to not believe it when it comes to More Than Meets the Eye.
Now, okay, so we've all spotted the same things. We've all come to the same conclusions. Now, we have all as well spent time, for better or for worse or for want, reading speculation on Tinternet and speaking to people about it. How much of our view of this being clobbered over the head with a spanner of it being Tarn is it because we have had speculation, we have had conversations? Because if you look at it here, there is literally the only thing other than Pax saying you should read Megatron, which he said to numerous people. The only thing that's a definite nod to going it's Tarn is him getting shot in the eye.
I would say like all of the other things I've just listed are just as definite as the fact he's been shot in the eye.
But that's the only one that's explicitly links him to Tarn. There's stuff like the addictive personality. It's not, it's the same. Yeah, but there's more than one robot out there with an addictive personality.
There's more than one robot out there, I'm sure, who's taken a shot to the side of the face before.
Well, yeah. But I'm saying, how much are we putting on it, and how much of it is actually being really subtle, and it's just us we've spoken about this, we're being observant, and we've seen it coming. My
conspiratorial thought is that this might be deliberate. As I say, I'm not ready to buy into it. So my conspiratorial thought is that this might be done deliberately in the face of the speculation, because that speculation has been running around for nearly 2 years now.
Yeah.
In fact, over 2 years. Adding, yes, just over 2 years, we've had to listen to people say, "Roller's done," and there's never been any room to actually do anything with it before, because Roller obviously only exists in the past. So I feel like this could be some deliberate misdirection that has occurred as a consequence of a particularly vocal theory. That is a little bit conspiracy theorist for me. I am not normally like that when it comes to More Than Meets the Eye, because there are enough crazy conspiracy theories out there being formulated by fans for More Than Meets the Eye that I don't have to come up with any of my own. But in this case...
Okay. So, I mean, Adam, are you in the camp of it's not a distraction, this is the case?
Yeah, I think so. I am pretty sure that it is just it's subtle enough without Tarn being in the issue, revealing, like pulling his mask off and going, look at I'm Roller. That I think that's what it is. But being More Than Meets the Eye, this will now get left alone for a period of time.
I don't think that long,
No, neither do I.
Well, I think it's going to be this season, like air quote season, but it's not going to be in the next 2 or 3 issues.
I think it'll be by the end of this arc. You'll have.
Oh no.
Well, no, because we've opened with the DJD. We've had, not seeing Tarn.
Yeah.
We've then had this issue, obviously, going over it and speculating it and everything, and hinting towards it. And you look at the running themes of the issue, or the arc so far, it's DJD / Rollertarn, Trailbreaker, and Decepticon double agent Brainstorm.
Well, I think we'll have to see exactly what the subject matter of the next issue is before. I would love it. I mean, something I would say about the overall arc so far is that I was very pleasantly surprised by this issue, in the fact that it served up what is essentially a complete done-in-one story, and that this trilogy, this three-parter, looks like it will actually be like 3 discrete adventures in 3 discrete time periods.
Yeah,
which I think is far more fun and punchy than what I expected was going to be just a big long 3-part story chase through time set in one time period, with maybe some late end time jumping. I think it's a far more interesting structure than I was expecting. And what would be hilarious fun would be if in every time period that they jump to now over the next 2 issues, there'll be someone who is just as blatantly suggested to be Tarn every time.
That would be good. That would be really good.
But I don't think that the identity reveal is for this arc. I think that's maybe more season finale stuff.
As I say, it does depend on what happens in the next one. I mean, I've read the last 2 issues. Last issue felt like, because it was the dystopian future-esque Blade Runner style, almost one and done. This has felt very much like your typical time jump.
Oh yeah, well,
action adventure.
We'll not be going back to the... I mean, that was another thing that we were all wondering whenever we read the issue with it ended with Brainstorm appearing, was what form would this 3-parter take? And we figured my question was, would it have a present day component at all? Because instead of being 2 parallel stories being remembered or recalled in the present, so they had a past. The 2 stories, Chaos Theory and Shadowplay, had a past and a present component, 2 parallel lines running, and we called into question why that issue had that when there was no evident connection between them, and there still isn't really. So we'll see how that comes together. This story doesn't have a present component. We weren't wrong whenever we theorized that it might not have a present day component, because it's just outright time travel.
Yeah, the only present day component is linking directly to the story.
Yeah. It's just the brief. It's not a separate parallel narrative. It's part of this narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot my point.
You got another one?
I thought there was something I was moving towards there, got jumbled up. Yeah. Well, never mind. I don't think the Tarn thing is for the end of this narrative anyway. I mean, I think my big question is about whenever it gets to the point where Tarn's mask gets blasted off, or he chooses to dramatically pull it off or whatever. I'm like, who's that for in the present day? Who's going to cover their mouth and gasp and go, "It was you all along"? If it's Roller, because Pac's in there. And,
That's exactly what I was thinking. I kind of had that same problem when they were going into Dark Cybertron, that there was all that stuff built up between Pax and Senator Shockwave, but yet they always felt to be like on opposing ends of the universe. So the two guys who you want to have the face-to-face, you struggle to get them together.
Yeah, I mean, if it truly is Tarn under the mask, to have that ripped off and go, "It was Roller all along." Surely Pax has to be present for that, and he's not going to be. So.
Well, you could say Rodimus is, because obviously they've had the interaction with that team. Has now had the interaction with Roller and met Roller.
Yeah, but what kind of emotional punch does that have?
Well, yeah,
it's that guy. I mean, Ratchet knew him, so there's room for that to happen. And obviously Skids knew him too, but Skids doesn't remember knowing him, I don't think. Maybe he does. No, maybe I suppose Skids probably would remember knowing him. Yeah, I know his memories do go back that far. So, I don't know, it just seems like, it's like Optimus is the guy who really should be part of that, if that's who's under the mask. But we'll see how it plays out.
Well, yeah, I mean, but then we're then taking away the speculation of if he's Agent 113.
There's that too, but I just can't. My brain, I don't know what. I can't get into even thinking about Agent 113. It's like those guys are monsters. I can't see how any one of them could believe an honest to god double agent.
But then you've got but we've said Agent 113 it's been set up to be in the DJD.
Yes.
Who set that up?
Springer, wasn't it?
No, which writer?
Oh, that was Roberts.
Yeah. So something's gonna happen with that.
Oh, I know. It's just that.
But then you're saying if it's not him, so you've got an ex-Autobot 0.1%er who is the leader of the Decepticon hunting party that goes around killing high-powered Decepticons, which is the ultimate head fake for a double agent, isn't it? Oh yeah, I'm completely supportive of you. I'm going to go and kill all your strongest troops. But that means someone else of the other four.
You lost me there. No, I didn't say no. But you're assuming that it is Roller, and my position would kind of be if Roller's not. If Tarn isn't Agent 113, then he's not Roller either, because you're not going to have two secret Autobots on the team.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, but I don't believe Tarn is Roller, so so I'm there already.
Okay, so we've got a vote. We've got Adam. You're agreed. Tarn's Roller.
Yep.
Yeah, that's 2 against 1. So Underbase democratically says Tarn's Roller. Shut up, Chris. You're on board.
We'll just.
This is democracy, damn it. So, that point discussed to death and speculated wildly. Let's hope we haven't done what we did with Slaughterhouse.
Worry, because it wasn't us that did it.
True.
Everyone's been saying that for 2 years. So.
Yeah. All those people that literally pulled it out of their ass, if they're right.
That literally was, arse, total.
Yeah.
But so to be fair, though, was your quantum engines duplicate theory any less arse related?
No, that was fully Red Dwarf related.
Yes, that's yeah.
That was fully Red Dwarf, Demons and Angels style, random. It was along those lines. There is no Red Dwarf that links Tarn to Roller. Well, there might be. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. Okay, well, any other points to be made, gents?
Yes. Time travel rules.
Oh, we'll be doing time travel rules. Okay, go for it.
There's a reason for it. This is the important thing. We know that the sparks that are teleported away safely, they are teleported away to a safe house in Nyon. And we know that Rodimus comes from Nyon, and we know Rodimus is around 4 million years old. The implication quite strongly being that Rodimus is one of these sparks and has just helped save himself, which would imply we are operating on predestination time travel rules.
Okay.
There was a big it was whenever Chrome Dome scanned the corpse Rodimus, first of all, that's when they noted that he was just about 4 million years old. So we know that. But he also described one of the major moments of his life as waking up in Nyon, and that never sounded like the circumstances of a birth to me. It seemed like an odd way to describe somebody's birth or a Transformer's birth. But since we know that the way hotspots work, you don't wake up there. But we knew Hot Rod was from Nyon back in Autocracy. We knew Hot Rod was from Nyon, I think. So now the fact that we know that it was done in a clinic and they would have woken up being put in bodies or there, it's like that makes that sentence make sense now as well. Yeah, and obviously, the question that's perhaps hanging over the end of the issue here now is: does sucking on Roller's drug-tainted juice box give Trailbreaker his alcohol addiction?
Well, yeah, but none of the events... The only event that happens because of them being there is that won't realise that Roller's missing.
Yes, and also it could be argued that the sparks are saved because of this.
Well, no, because the only thing that they do is Cyclonus and Whirl go out and shoot some stuff, but they don't actually take anything down. They don't destroy anything. Roller's the one that saves the sparks. Pax is the one that takes the platform down, only using the powers of the other guys that are there.
No, that is quite correct. But the way these characters do just the way that they simply help, and indeed help them to figure out what it is they need to do and when they need to do it.
Well, yeah.
Through, I think the you've seen cartoons. We've all seen cartoons. Whenever there's the obligatory two-parter where the supervillain changes the past somehow, and everybody wakes up and it's Nazi Germany land or whatever, and then the characters go back in time and put time right. But in the process of putting time right, they also do something that always was. And obviously, the idea, what I'm saying is, if the implication that this issue is making is that we're working with predestination rules, your immediate response might be to say, but Brainstorm has changed history, so that would mean history can be changed, and it's not predestination rules. But there's no way to describe it and say perhaps that temporary change is part of the predestination, if you know what I mean.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey,
So
spacey
I may have gone cross-eyed, yes, but the fact that they forget about Roller is obviously, I think, key as well.
Yes.
Trailbreaker might not even pick up and drink from his juice box if he doesn't forget him, and if the implication again is supposed to be that he becomes an alcoholic because of that, which I didn't think of right away. I just thought, hey, who wants to go for a drink? That's like something Trailbreaker would say. I didn't interpret it as something new on the character's part, but it could be.
Adam, anything that's sprung out of this issue? Because we have focused on time travel and Roller Tarn. Was there anything else that we might have skipped over?
Don't think so. Apart from more Megatron Orion pack stuff, which we've covered.
Yeah.
I think it's that's in there. The Roller Tarn stuff and the time travel stuff, and that's for me what this issue is there for. So
it's a very plot-driven issue for More Than Meets the Eye.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot done in one issue.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's so great about it is. I was expecting a lengthy, quote unquote, epic 3-parter, but instead it looks like I'm going to get like 3 punchy chapters set in different time periods with different supporting casts, and that makes me more excited.
Yeah, I think I was not concerned that we were going to get another big thinking space opera, but
we're just.
I was expecting another big thinking space opera. So yeah, the fact that this has been a one and done, sort of very simplistic in its own way story.
It More Than Meets the Eye is the sort of book that puts character first always.
Yeah.
And I would maybe go so far as to say maybe plot does come first in this issue of More Than Meets the Eye. It's unusual for More Than Meets the Eye. But of course, there's tons of room for character as well. Roller has appeared in like 1.5 issues, and there's so much, regardless of anything to do with Tarn or not, there's so much learned about him in this issue, and his personality and his inadequacies and his need to prove himself. That's just great stuff, regardless of what it may or may not lead to. And of course, the Prime Packs conversation, or the Megatron Packs conversation.
So, gentlemen, artwork. Adam, what stood out, and obviously any overall commentary on Mr. Milne's work and the colorist too?
I was about to say, the colours too.
Joe,
Joanna, yes.
Yeah.
I think the first thing I have to say is the colours. The battle colours inside the force field are really, really good again. Similar to that sort of force field colouring we had a couple of issues back when Trail Baker brought the farm. The colouring's great, to be honest with you. As far as Alex goes, he's delivering as he always does. What I especially like about this issue, some of the expressions, I can't remember if I think it was Chris earlier commented on the anime eyes of Rodimus.
Oh, that was Matt.
Yeah, Matt, sorry. The little things like that, the whirl moments, spectacular. Just the stuff characters are doing in the background, it's he sort of manages to inject what are essentially blocky robots with a lot of life. It's really good. I can't fault it, to be honest.
Cool. Chris?
That's a nice comic. It's taken me a long time, not a long time, but I had to get over the loss of Josh Burcham. I really did. But Priscilla is not Priscilla. Sorry, Joanna. I was mixed up. Joanna is killing it. Like this is I mean, if the price we have to pay for stuff like this and the previous issue is Alex taking the occasional issue off and somebody like Attilio Rojo doing a fill-in, I will pay that because this is just great altogether. I mean, there's a lot asked of Alex in this one. I think there's some very packed pages, and just because as we say, just a lot of stuff has to happen.
There's six double pages.
Six
I mean,
spreads. I noticed right away there. That's a lot of spreads, and I mean, I wonder how many of those were Alex's choice or James's choice. Because sometimes that is up to the artist. But he does it without with so much going on. He does it without anything ever looking cramped or feeling rushed or any moments feeling like they don't get enough space to breathe. It's just all very well accomplished all the way through. Great stuff. Although, mind you, there is something. Somebody did point this out to me. It's like, see that panel where Megatron is leaning against the wall while he's on the time phone?
Yeah.
What is going on with that arm?
Yeah, how's he got his shoulder in that position?
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
pretty horrific.
That's just the occasional difficulty with Transformer anatomy.
Yeah.
There's just sometimes where the shape of Transformers or the size of shoulders or whatever just will not allow a dude to bend a certain way, and that's one of those times.
Well, let's be fair. He could just transform that joint so he could do that to lean against the wall like that. That could be on his way to transforming into a tank. It's just release a couple of couplings.
We all assume he turns into a tank, but maybe James might let him transform at some point in the course of this year.
I wouldn't bank on it. Yeah, it's for me. It's another great looking issue. I've always loved Joanna's colours, and if she hasn't done it again, it looks great. There's a couple of patches where I don't know. There could have been more done, both artistically and just line art and colour. I thought Roller getting shot up was a little bit vague, exactly what's happened. Or where the teleporter's gone at that point as well. It's just, has the teleporter exploded? Has something happened? We don't really know. And there's one of the early panels where everyone's kind of just lined up, look like they're on a toy shelf. When they've just arrived in the back of Roller and Pax is pointing his gun at them. Just the second time just at the page after, we have World's amazing moments.
Yes.
They all look just a bit lined up and static. But then you have, as I say, the page before we have getting more character across than most artists would do with a human face and hands. So,
and on the page before that, it's cute and all, but why is Rewind giving Tailgate a piggy bank?
Have we missed something with Tailgate?
I don't think so. He's fine. He's doing well.
That's very strange.
Yeah.
I hadn't noticed. Now it's weirding me out.
It's cute, but why?
And why what's
Riptide doing?
What's the name of the
Riptide?
I was about to say Riptide. Yeah. Sea Dude I was going to call him because I couldn't remember his name.
That's Transformer's name.
Was he? Yeah, he's pulling a funny face.
Yeah, maybe he's just puzzled. Well, I mean, Riptide is not the intelligent sort anyway. Like, I like this bit on that page where he says, "You sound like an exam question. Stop." The science is no good for him, so the fact that he would be confused there anyway, I like to think he's just maybe puzzled about what those two small bots are doing.
Maybe they're trying to work out if they're Jerkons or not. Something.
Tailwind.
It's really weird.
Yeah, now you've pointed out.
Me out now.
But
It's like he's doing a whoosh, I'm flying eagle sort
Well,
of thing.
has he got arms? I can't see his arms anywhere.
they're out in front of him.
Tailgate's arms. Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
Yes, he's doing a whoosh.
Maybe
Oh,
he
yeah.
just jumped on him and like Rewind doesn't like it, and he's like, "What's going on?"
Rewind doesn't. Well, if that's the case, Rewind didn't seem to notice. But he's got his arms over his. There's a speech bubble very conveniently covering his arm there because again, that's another one of those things where I'm not entirely sure how Rewind would get his arm up over Tailgate's big, thick thighs.
It's just weird.
Where's Tailgate's other leg?
They're well be down around the other side of Rewind. But
So he's basically just jumped over his shoulder, and his
Yeah, well, that's how you get a piggyback.
yeah, but he hasn't got the other leg up and over.
Yeah, but that's not on panel, so that's poking over the edge of the screen anyway, edge of the panel.
Speaking of other crazy stuff, because I'm now going through the comic looking for more craziness in the background. When they're inside Orion Pax's Jabba the Hutt sail barge, which is crashed.
Yeah.
What's Will looking at on the
I know.
ceiling?
I love that.
Just looking around.
Just looking around for something to break. I think.
Well, I think he might be supposed to be looking up out the window because Cyclonus is looking up out at the platform, and it would be like Whirl to follow Cyclonus over and copy him and look what he was looking at. But it does look like he's, standing inside and looking up at the ceiling. So I'm not sure.
But anyway, overall, great work. Looks great. I wish the sparks had been finished colouring. They just look like they've been flatted, and that's it. None of them are sort of giving off any life force. Little thing, but they just look like little blue pimples rather than. But when you actually get to Roller picking them out, they've got a glow about them, or the one that he's harvested has got a glow. So some of it just doesn't look as polished as I'm used to from that pairing. But overall, does look great. So, Adam, final thoughts and a rating, please.
Really good issue. Not what I expected. Exactly what Chris said. I think after the last couple of issues and going into this, didn't think that this was what we were going to get. It's very talky, but there's some action in it, and it drives the story forward. But it borders on being a one shot. But it's going to lead into something else. So really, really good. Art's great. Can't say any more about that. I think I'm gonna have to, do you know what? I can't not give it a 5. There's no reason to mark it down, to be honest. So yeah, 5 for me.
Okay, Chris.
I'm not too sure what I can add to that because that does sum it up. It's very plot driven, but still finds room for meaningful character interaction, and it does set a few pages aside to be solely dedicated to interpersonal relationships, and it still finds time even to provide characters like Roller with snippets of characterization that tell us a lot more about them than we knew before. And the not quite done in one, but the one-shotty, the one-chapter nature of it is very welcome and unexpected, as I say. I don't think I would go the full 5 on it, but I would go as good as and give it a 4.5.
Okay, well, I've enjoyed it significantly more a second time round and then reading it with you guys. First time through, I felt really shortchanged by it, but I think that's because I was completely distracted by Tarn Roller, and that completely dominated my view on it. And everything else that happened was just in the background. But reading it again and looking over it again and getting more out of it and sort of seeing past that initial shock, it's a really good issue. And a complete change up from last issue. I mean, totally different.
I can't remember. No, I wasn't on last issue, was
No,
it?
last issue was
So long, I don't remember.
the dystopian future.
Yeah, but I couldn't remember if I was on it or not. But when we got to the issue, even though that ended very openly, I did sort of assume that we wouldn't be going back there. I mean, that was the only potential I saw for a parallel narrative going into this, which would be one narrative of the Lost Lighters back in time, and maybe something set on the present day functionist Cybertron. But I didn't really think we would be seeing more of it, so I wasn't too surprised to go into the issue and see no more of it.
No, I completely agree. I didn't expect to see any more of it, but I expected a similar tone. And this is tonally just big action adventure. Whereas that was very dark, thinky, it's very focused. Yeah. Just to say, tonally complete opposite. So yeah, I'm going to give it I can't give it a 5 because of that initial reaction, I'm afraid. But I'm going to half score because I'm a scumbag who goes against my own rules like Rodimus. 4.5 from me as well. So, gents, anything to add before we call it a night?
Oh, I think we've gone over that very in depth.
Adam?
No, we could probably be here for another 90 minutes talking about time travel rules, so keep going round in circles.
Yeah, just like good time travelling. I get the feeling that each issue is going to have sort of slightly different homaging to time travel films.
Well, the next one, it's hard to know exactly when it's set. All we know, it's got minor era impactor in it.
Yeah. And it's further in the past.
Yeah, that's literally all we know. So, who knows? I mean, it could. I mean, when you see Impactor crashing in there, I mean, the first thing I thought of was the story of how Impactor beat Whirlup, but that happens during Shadow Play, within the time span of Shadow Play, anyway. And that's not very long ago to be traveling further back to. You think you would, if you were going to do a 3-chapter story with each one in different time periods, you would want more dramatically different time periods. But I don't know what to expect from the next one.
Yeah, because the solicit bit at the bottom actually suggests that it's moving closer to the war.
Yeah, because the solicits for More Than Meets the Eye have essentially said nothing for the last little while now. I mean, I know obviously solicits are a game that have to be played, and I think Roberts tries to play that game a little more than most about not giving anything away, but it's almost getting to the point with More Than Meets the Eye solicits where they tell us virtually nothing, or nothing that has any real relevance to the story. What was that one? What issue was it? It was a couple of issues ago where there was a solicit and it just had nothing to do with the content of the comic at all. Oh, I forget, but there was an issue of it a while ago.
No, can't remember. Right, well, as we've got a minute or two before we hit the hour and a half mark, so by the time we've edited this down, it'll be an hour and 15. Adam, what comics should the good folk read if they're not reading Transformers this week?
Oh, I'm going to be a complete and utter sucker and tell everyone to go and catch up and read up on some Spider-Verse. So go and get some amazing Spider-Man and all the tie-ins so you can read all about crazy multiple dimensions and lots of Spider-Man.
Encourage these big companies to make more pointless tie-ins that nobody reads and are never collected properly.
But one of them is of Scarlet Spiders, and it's got Scarlet Spider in it.
Have you read it, though?
Yeah.
Is it any good?
Yeah. No, honestly, I've got the first 2 issues of the Scarlet Spiders mini, and it is tie-in stuff, but yeah. I'm emotionally attached to the characters, so therefore I enjoy it.
Okay, but it's just because Mike Costa wrote it.
Yeah, very much so. It's fine though. It's
not with yours. Was kind of my reaction to it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's making a story of jumping into, it's the age of apocalypse rules. Let's spend time showing alternate versions of characters you love.
Well, chapter 4 is out this week, and there's one thing in it that everybody's going to be talking about, and there's already been an article on Bleeding Cool saying that that's going to happen without telling you what it is. Ooh. But there's something else that happens in it that I have been hoping is going to happen all crossover, and it totally does, and it's awesome. But I'm not going to say what it is.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
I can tell you afterwards if you want to know. But
No, don't spoil it. I like to be kept in suspense.
And Chris, give us one.
This week, believe it or not, it's Ant-Man #1.
No, I don't believe it.
No, believe it. I think Ant-Man, it may only be the first week of 2015, but Ant-Man, #1, is in a very strong position to be to 2015 what Daredevil was to 2011, what Hawkeye was to 2012, and what Superior vs. Spider-Man was to 2013. It is a top quality first issue.
Wow.
Wow.
Oversized, done in one. Same writer as Superior Foes, Nick Spencer. Just another one of those slightly left of center, single male protagonist, urban superheroics thing that about a man who consistently snatches defeat from the jaws of victory, but he fails upward, does Scott Lang, and it doesn't seem. But obviously, the fact that it exists is driven by the fact that the movie exists. But some of the most important facets of Scott Lang's character and what drives him are things that I'm wondering if the movie feels like it will be able to do, which is the fact that he's a single divorcee dad who only has visitation rights for his daughter, and that's a big part of the comic, and I don't know like if Marvel will want to do that in the film, but that's a huge part of what the character is if they're doing it right, and I mean, the issue is largely about him trying to get that part of his life together, and competing with a couple of other superheroes for a security job at Stark Industries. And it's just a complete done-in-one tale that sets up the premise of the new series. And I think it could be this year's Daredevil, Hawkeye, or Superior Foes. Is a really good first issue.
Wow, that's high praise.
It is indeed.
Squirrel Girl #1 is also out this week, and it's also great. For entirely different reasons, obviously. But.
Is that main reason that it's Squirrel Girl?
Well, it's a cute, very funny book that it's by Ryan North, who does dinosaur comics and who writes a lot of who has written the Adventure Time book for Boom Studios as well. And it's one of those sort of it's a very cutesy, self-aware, female positive, funny and fun Squirrel Girl book that doesn't like I like Squirrel Girl, but I liked Squirrel Girl whenever Dan Slott was putting the character in the Great Lakes Avengers miniseries before Squirrel Girl sort of became second only to Deadpool as the internet and video game culture's favorite off-center Marvel mascot, which
I
just
agree with that.
fucks me off, frankly.
Yeah.
But this is not that. Whereas Daniel Way turned Deadpool into that, and other writers have done good things with Deadpool to pull him back out of being that, even though mass media is insistent on slamming him back into that hole. This does not play up to that. She fights Kraven the Hunter in this issue. It's not, like Dan Slott had a running gag where based up the very first time Squirrel Girl ever appeared, it was in an issue drawn by Steve Ditko in the 90s, and it was supposed to be a whole antidote to the fact that she was chipper and cheery and the complete antithesis of where superheroics was at that time in comics. But she beat Doctor Doom. And it wasn't really a thing in the Great Lakes Avengers miniseries where Dan Slott brought her back like 20 years later, because she didn't appear in comics. She was like kind of a running joke character who'd maybe show up on a trading card or something somewhere, but she wasn't in comics. She only had that one appearance until Dan Slott put her in the Great Lakes Avengers, and where she was used as where her innocence and naivety were the whole point, because the Great Lakes Avengers Misassembled miniseries, which is fantastic. If you've never read it, try and hunt it down to read it. The graphic novel's out of print, but it's a brilliant book. It's essentially a pastiche of Identity Crisis and Infinite Crisis and things like that. A Great Lakes Avenger dies every issue, stuff like that. There's a great joke about how there's like somebody dies from a footprint in the brain, the same like from Identity Crisis, but it's because it was a squirrel who got stepped on, stuff like that.
It is good. Have you ever read it, Matt?
No.
Oh, I'll lend it to you. I've got it. I'll lend it to you. It is brilliant.
But Squirrel Girl is in it, and she is the one. Jesus, do you remember when comics were fun, guys?
Oh yeah,
and miserable like this, and that's what the point of the character there is. Now, Slott used her a little bit again here and there, and that would be her primary purpose. But he also had a sort of a running gag about how she was always beating the greatest threats in the Marvel universe, but it was always perennially off panel. So this comic has to not run with that so much. But because the first issue she fights Kraven the Hunter, Craven's just a bit pissed off and causing trouble at Empire State University, and she doesn't even beat him with punches. She talks to him. It's that kind. But there's also some room for plenty of action in it as well. Now, the rest of the story arc, it seems like it's going to make up the first graphic novel, is her versus Galactus. So we'll see how that goes. But as a first issue, it is very funny, very cute, and it doesn't fall into the trap of what the Squirrel Girl into. And there you go.
Right, wow. Okay, so go and buy everything Marvel this week.
It's a very light week for this week, but you got Spider-Man. I mean, I only had 4 books, and they were Spider-Man, Ant-Man, Squirrel Girl, and Angela #2 is out this week as well. And the first issue didn't click with me of Angela, but issue 2, right in there. Great second issue. It's a really great week of Marvel books this week.
Well, this week, being the trade waiter that I am, I will recommend the 2 that I've picked up, and one has arrived, one has yet to. The good old classics we always talk about. Saga Volume 4 hit shelves 2 weeks ago, and Manhattan Project Volume 5. Which is
Volume 5 out now?
Yeah, Volume 5's out now.
Ooh, that's the final volume. Well, not the final. No, it's not the final volume, but it's the last volume for now. The book's on hiatus for about 6 months, and then it's going to relaunch for the new #1 in the springtime.
Okay. I was going to say, not another book that's going to end that I'm reading.
No, it's the same creative team, so don't worry. But yeah, I mean, oh man, Manhattan Projects, like Volume 4 was when that book turned from something I left sort of to the back of my stack to just read when I got to it, to something that got moved up to the top that had to be read right away.
Just barking, but so brilliant.
It's like I was convinced I knew what Oppenheimer was up to.
Yeah.
I was really convinced what he was doing with all those vacuum tubes. And when he put the helmet on, and he had the whole screaming match and everything, and they took the helmet off, and then the dialogue that came after that, it only confirmed to me that my original theory was right. And then there was that massive twist. Then you got that entire issue after that was set inside his brain that totally just blew my theory up.
Yeah.
And now I have no idea at all.
Yeah, not a clue what's going on.
And then Volume 5 kind of just steered away from the plot threads that were left dangling after that multi-parter. But have you read Volume 5?
No, it hasn't arrived yet.
No spoilers, but that. But then as it's finishing off, you'll see yourself, there's a bit of a montage, like a sort of, a to be continued, but it's like we're taking a little break here. Here's just a little reflective montage. And there's just a little bit in this montage where it's like, no, all right. We haven't forgotten about it.
Good. Well, it's kind of good that's going on hiatus thing, because I can just go and read all 5 trades and just sit down and enjoy again. Because there's never have the time to go back and read when there's a massive long-running thing. But knowing something's on a break, as it were, same as when Daredevil relaunched recently, being able to go back and read all 7 volumes that came before the new #1.
Wade and Sam Nee's Daredevil is ending soon, though. Yeah, afraid so. I mean, I don't know if it'll even get a new #1. I'm sure a new creative team will come on, but I don't know if it'll restart from #1 or not. But it's actually only like maybe a couple of months away as well. It's
so they've relaunched it and got people sucked in again, and then there's going to get whatever.
Well, it's going to have been over maybe a year and a half since the relaunch.
I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose so. Gutted.
Because you're reading Superior Foes, right?
I'm not, Adam.
Oh, read that.
I'm about a trade behind.
Well, there are only 3 because that's
I think I've only got 2. If I remember rightly, I've still got to pick one up.
Second trade loses it a bit because the book got a little delayed and it had 2 filler issues in there.
Is that why it's about a 7 or 8 issue trade or something?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's the whole series is 17 issues, and if you pulled the 2 filler issues out, it would be 5 issues, so 15 issues, so it'd be 3 5-issue trades. But yeah. But that's another great book. Like, I was a little cautious about picking up Ant-Man because Nick Spencer's often hit or miss for me with his Marvel stuff. But this is the superior foes Spencer who is bringing his game on Ant-Man.
Oh, I'm gutted about Daredevil now. It's really put a downer on the evening.
Oh, sorry. Well,
Well, no, because I was going through it earlier today, and this, I think within this year or by the by the end of 2015 / early 2016, Skull Kickers finishes, Chew finishes, and now Daredevil's going to finish. I was going to have nothing to read.
And you know Hawkeye's finishing too.
I'm not actually reading Hawkeye, so.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were reading Hawkeye.
No.
Read Hawkeye.
Well, no, because it's just Green Arrow for Marvel, and
Get the fuck out.
I know it's a
Get the
lot
fuck
better.
out.
I know it's a lot better than the current Green Arrow, but that's not hard.
You're still here. Get the fuck out.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will leave this week's show. Thank you very much to Adam, who made it through and, well, sleepless delirium to be here today.
Yeah, I've been coughing off microphone a lot.
Yeah, he's sick. Everyone send him best wishes and toys.
Yeah, I'll be good. I'll be back to normal soon. But more toys, yes, that will cure everything.
Yeah, toys cure everything. And thank you to Chris for being Chris.
Oh, right. I'll take that as a compliment, shall I?
Yeah, I would. And with the news that nearly everything I'm reading is ending, maybe, you never know, we'll get a new creative team on this show again, and then after 6 issues, wrap it up. We'll see you next time on the Underbase.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into our broadcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Underbase or interact on FullMetalHero.com.
Underbase complete. Cease transmission.